Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chippy Chicks and this month's episode as we talk about hockey and romance and hockey romance. I am Kelly Jameson, and I am joined by Danica Flynn, Melanie Ting, Fortune Whalen, and we are expecting Stacey Agdern to join us momentarily. She's in transit, but will be here shortly. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you get notified of our new episodes. And let's dive into our hockey talk. So let's start off by talking about the news that came from the NHL that the Board of Governors has decided to ban the use of Pride tape. And also, I guess they are saying that teams are not going to be allowed to show support for special initiatives. So what do we all think of this? Let's start with you, Mel.
I feel like, if you needed a villain in a movie, then NHL management could be that villain. Like, we're not going to have any, you've got your charities for your orphans and cripples and everything. Like, nobody is going to get anything from us from now on. It just feels like a huge overreaction to this, to a few players not wanting to participate.
Right. Last year, there were a few who didn't want to participate in that. It caused some controversy about that. But so this year, I guess to solve that problem, they've just eliminated it entirely.
Yeah, it's crazy. Although did you hear about Brian Burke saying that he would pay the fines of any players who use Pride tape?
Oh, did he?
He offered to pay their fines. So because somebody already used Pride tape, And
last night, as I was getting ready for our broadcast, I was looking, and last night, Travis Dermott apparently used Pride tape on his stick, and apparently they are considering whether they will maybe fine him or discipline him for it. What are your thoughts about it, Danica?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know what I feel. I didn't know Brian Burke said that. I know he made a statement, and like, for as much as people criticize him, I think this is a thing that is important to him. So he's like, this is not like endorsing anything. This is just to tell your teammates that they're like, well, you're welcoming other people, and that you're a safe space for them. And Scott Lawton, who is with the Flyers, he was asked, and he was like, I don't know, I'll probably just still use it on those nights. And he has been a very big, I wasn't surprised by that, because he has been a big supporter of, like, a big ally in Philly. They've done videos with him talking about like the work he's done. So really wasn't surprised to hear that from him. But it was nice to hear it. And it's nice to hear some other players speaking out on this doesn't make sense. What is the issue? So I'm glad to at least hear some of them are actually speaking out about it. Props to someone who was like, I'm just gonna do it. Find me.
Yeah.
Find me. So I'm like, that's amazing.
Fortune, what are your thoughts on this?
So I did a little bit of research on the history of the Pride tape. And Brian Burke, so there was a Kickstarter that was started to produce something like 10,000 rolls, and they were going to give them out free to all the to anybody who wanted them. And it was an initiative from Pratt McEwen University in Edmonton. And Brian Burke, actually, he gave the last, they were almost funded, and he, his family funded the rest of it so that it could go. And then because I guess Brian Burke's son that passed away in a car accident was gay, openly gay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is important to him. And it's kind of interesting how they started the Pride tape, is because I guess they did a thing on Twitter, and they said during large sporting events, the use of homophobic slurs went up significantly in social media. So I thought it was a really important thing that they got it out there, and it's been around for I don't know, like 6 or 7 years. Yeah, but yeah, I completely agree with Mel. Like, it was a huge overreaction. It's just like, oh, like nobody's allowed to have it now because you guys can't play nice. So it's not the right message.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely not. So I'm glad that they're still using it. And like, football players, they get fined for ridiculous things. Like, why not? And like, so what's going to happen now if somebody wants to use like yellow tape? Like, are they going to get in trouble? Like,
Yeah.
it's dumb. Don't agree.
I think as of yesterday, I think the NHLPA, like the Players Association, hasn't weighed in on it, but I did look at the statement from Hockey for All. No, You Can Play. That's what it was. You Can Play. Says that it is now clear that the NHL is stepping back from its longstanding commitment to inclusion and continuing to unravel all of its one-time industry-leading work on 2S LGBTQ+ belonging. Progress has been made and there's relationships established, and now all that's in jeopardy just by eliminating symbols of like jerseys and pride tape, and it just like stunts the impact of bringing in more diverse fans and players into the sport. So yeah, it does feel like an overreaction and a step backwards, and it's really hard to understand why.
Yeah. I mean, just in contrast, I don't usually watch NFL football, but I was just watching and I said, well, that looks really cool, because the coach had a really nice kind of multicolored hat on with the logo. And I noticed, so they have all this gear and the coaches wear them on the sideline. So that's more than the NHL has ever done. And
Yeah, for sure.
So it's no big deal for like sports that are way bigger than hockey to do these things. So
It's apparently it came from the Board of Governors, but I really wonder who the decision came from.
Yeah. And I think I saw that Wish had reached out to the NHPA and they declined to comment. So that's like not like, that just seems odd. And it does feel like a step back, especially with like the amount of issues that are in hockey right now, how we talk about how like old school this league is. It just doesn't feel like it's paving the way forward like at all. So it's not a good look.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was that one player, right? The junior player who came out. And I think is he in Nashville's system? I think he was drafted by them. So like if your players are starting to come out, then it is going to become a PA issue.
Oh yeah.
So seems crazy. And also it's just not only the people, the minority people, it's everybody who's involved, like all the charities, all the artists that make the jerseys, and all these other people are affected as well. So what was sort of a nice inclusive thing for the league is just gone. and it was a bit unclear too. They just said we're not going to do anything. So it's not quite clear if they're still going to have those nights, but they're not going to have like jerseys or player participation or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point about how many other people like are impacted by that. Yeah, I felt kind of disappointed by it.
I know. I wonder if these things are going to change if we have a new league commissioner. I guess it depends who it is, but I don't know. They don't seem to be very forward looking at all.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, let's move on and talk about Connor Bedard, the new sensation. I guess, I mean, it shouldn't be surprising that he's getting all this attention. He was getting all this attention even before he was drafted, for God's sake. Like, it was just, absolutely, it totally assumed that he was going to be number one pick and he was going to be in Chicago, which of course did happen, but it seems like it's a lot. Any thoughts, Fortune?
Yeah, so I threw this into the group chat with my brothers and my partner, and I was like, what's the big deal with this guy? And I think he said that he's had like 4 points in 6 games, or they said Connor McDavid didn't score in his first like 17 games or something. So I think, and I don't know, like hockey's not one of those sports where like one player can like affect the whole game like right away. So I don't really think it's fair. It's not like he like like you can't compare him to LeBron James, who can come in and just like dominate a whole game. Like that's not fair at all. And he's so, I don't know. So I was reading up a bit about him as well. And was it Taylor? I think Taylor Hall's on his team, yeah. And
Yeah.
how like he's have so many in-game interviews that like he can't, like how is he supposed to focus on like playing hockey? Yeah, so it's kind of, yeah, just I don't know, let him play hockey. Like you can't just keep asking him why he's not scoring. Like
Well, that's crazy because like nobody expects a rookie in their first year, even a superstar, to score tons of goals. Like you these are young guys, like you don't expect them to come in and do that. But anyway, I think it was funny because I was reading in a Reddit post about how like anytime Chicago scores a goal, they cut to Connor Bedard, even if he's sitting on the bench. Just, if the other team scores a goal, they cut to Connor Bedard.
Really weird.
oh my
Like,
God.
Did they do that when like Sidney Crosby was like in the league? Because I know he like I think came out the gate, and I don't feel like they did, but I wasn't really paying attention.
yeah, well,
So, like,
yeah, that was a while ago. I don't think I was paying as
I
much
don't think
attention.
so. That's
then,
like the
but
only
don't
one I could think
so.
of that was like
Yeah.
they came out
Yeah.
of the gate. That's really weird. I honestly haven't been paying attention about it
Yeah.
like, at all. So, but like I'm on the East Coast. I'm only like paying attention to what the Flyers are doing, so I'm not really paying attention to other things.
I haven't been either, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that it's in-game, a lot of in-game interviews means that it is local. It's like, oh, he's in our town. We're going to see him. Because I haven't even seen any of these interviews myself.
Yeah.
But then he's not here. But
Right.
I was listening to a radio piece where they were talking about it's the first superstar that's come along since ESPN got the hockey rights again. And so they feel that maybe they're trying to establish him as more of a media personality, the way they have like superstars in other sports. And that's why there's so much more hype going on, because
Yeah, that's interesting.
they think that's the way to sell the game to non-traditional hockey markets or just regular people. Like
Right.
there's this kid and you should see him, he's going to be a big star, that kind of thing. So that's an interesting way. I mean, I think Sidney Crosby, I read a book that was written by a reporter who followed him around for the first year. And it didn't sound like there was as much media attention, but there was a lot of hockey attention. Like I think, players and racks and everything. And
Yeah.
not like totally positive either. It's like,
Oh.
when you see Connor Bedard getting hit by someone, it's that sort of welcome to the league, like don't get too up on yourself because so anyway, but he seems like he might have an interesting personality from what I've seen. He doesn't just say the same old things. He tries to say something interesting. So
He's only 19, like he's just a kid.
yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for a kid that age.
I find it interesting, like Mel said that he's got a little bit more personality than the average hockey player, but like his personality is not going to carry the league into the new era of like ESPN. I'm sorry. Like, he's not LeBron, and he's not, like, unless he does something crazy, like, I don't know, cover his whole self in Pride tape, like.
But he does have a pretty amazing shot. Like when you see him and you think, geez, like he didn't signal that at all. It just like goes off the deck. So, I mean, if he's going to be a superstar, it's going to be through what he does on the ice, not just interviewing every 5 minutes. He's got to do things that get people really excited to see.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
It's
totally.
interesting. So much pressure on the kids they put on.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I put on our topics to discuss was the ladies of the NHL Facebook group. So I'm curious, we haven't talked about this at all. Are any of you in any of those groups? The one for your local city? Like
No.
I've never even heard of this.
What is this?
Yeah, I was like, what is this? And you put it
Okay.
on the chat.
You better tell
Well,
us what it is.
Yeah. So last year, I saw this group start up that it was Ladies of the Jets. And I was curious about it. So I joined the group because I like the Jets and I like hockey. So I was curious. And then like nothing happened. I forget the name of the woman who I think started it. I think her name is Stacy something. And I don't know how this came about, but she kept posting like posts to get people talking about the Jets and here's today's game day post. Let's discuss the game here in this post, and nothing happened. Nobody was posting anything. A couple times I tried to comment on her posts, but it was kind of like nothing, zero. Honest to God, to this day, that group has 20 members.
Wow.
And I guess she started one in every city that has an NHL team. And so one of my hockey author friends, well, Jamie Davenport, who's in Seattle, and the Kraken have been pretty big. She says that the Ladies of the Kraken group is huge and super active. And there's people in there all the time talking about it. And so then this year, they started a Ladies of the NHL group, which is for like everybody. And one of the first things that they posted was, how do we get more members for these teams? And it's all the Canadian teams, except for the Leafs. The Oilers, the Senators, the Canadians, the Flames, the Jets, and the Canucks. There's very few people in those groups. And I'm like, why is that? These are big hockey crazy cities. Like, why is nobody wanting to join these Ladies of the Flames or whatever groups? Well, you guys didn't even know about them, so that's part of the problem.
Did you say the same woman started every group?
I believe
I
so.
just looked
Is she
up
like working for the NHL or something? Like, why
I
would
don't
she do
know.
that? That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't know her background or who she is, or how this came about. I guess they were trying to build off of more women being watching NHL games, because that has been growing. And so they wanted to give a place for women to talk about hockey. And I totally think that's a great idea. I'm just curious why they're so popular in some markets and not in others. And speaking for myself, I belong to probably 10 Jets fan groups on Facebook. Like, there's so many of them. And there's lots of women in those groups. So maybe I'm thinking maybe women just don't feel a need to join a group, especially for women. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they think they've got the expertise and they don't have to be in a woman-only group.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were shy about it, you'd think, well, I'll start in a woman-only group where people aren't going to make fun of me if I ask questions.
Right.
But
That's kind of what I was thinking.
yeah, I don't know. I'm more interested in who this woman is.
Well, let me just do some cyber stalking here. Okay,
Yeah,
her name is
You can see her. I was just looking. There's 28 in the Calgary Flames one.
Is there?
Yeah, 28 members. I have to answer questions if I want to join. I don't
What kind of questions? Like, do you have
Yeah.
to prove your Flames knowledge?
No, I don't know.
It's probably just like, why do you want to be in this group? Like, yes, that's what I do.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so her name is Stacy Nutini, Nutini.
Okay.
I am an internet entrepreneur, world traveler, hockey lover, and card breaker living in Vegas.
See if there's
Weird. But so she posts a game day post for every single team every time?
I gather. I'm not in every group, so I don't know for sure, but I assume like she does that in Winnipeg.
Oh my goodness.
Lord.
I know.
I don't
She
know.
must be doing something for the
There,
NHL.
okay, I was just looking. There is an Eagles ladies fan group, which is our football team, which I thought was very interesting to me because the Eagles fans are wild. And that has a lot, like that has like 600 members, but I'm not even seeing a Flyers one. So is there one? I would think there is.
I think there would have to be
It would have to be ladies.
ladies of the Flyers.
I put Philadelphia Flyers and like the actual team is coming up. I'm just curious if there's one and how many people are in it. But Philly is such a like ladies of the Flyers. There's 65 members. So
Oh, well, that's not that many.
Yeah, that's not that. But like Philly is such a sports city. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like anything more like there, and like Philly is unique because all of our sports stadiums are like are near each other. They're all clumped together. And like the Sixers are potentially moving and people are like, no, they can't move. Like, we can't do that. We can't have that. Like people are like very much up in arms about it because they're like all in like the same area. And it's kind of nice because you can like people tailgate and stuff, and there's Xfinity Live, which used to be the Spectrum, the old rink. So it's a very big. So I feel like there's probably not much of an interest in Philly for that because it's just such a sports town. Like it's.
Well, that's what we were saying because when the Canucks played you guys, it was your home opener. And they were saying, but they had to change the game time because there's a big baseball game on. There was also some kind of international soccer game on, and all in the same area.
Yeah, there was a Mexican like Germany soccer game at I think it was at the Link, I'm pretty sure, and then which is where the Eagles play, and then the Phillies were playing that night, so they had to because I was like, this game is on really early, and I like
it was weird. It was
it was like an early game. I'm like, this is weird, and then I was like, oh, it's because of the Phillies, like, and it do that because it gets really crazy. Like,
but you know what? You had really good attendance at the Flyers game. Like it wasn't like people were like, oh well, I'm not going to go to the home opener though. We have a baseball game, so I was really impressed.
People will come for the home opener though, because I think like the next game we had that was the Phillies were on, the attendance wasn't as I didn't realize we were in Philly. Like I thought we were in Edmonton, and I was like, oh, this is in Philly. Like
well, speaking of attendance, a big topic of conversation here in Winnipeg is the attendance at the Jets games. I don't know what things are like in other cities. And I mean, it's only a few games into the season. So how do you know how things are going to really go? But last year, it was already a bit of a concern here in Winnipeg because I think we were down at the bottom. Oh, wait, I have the numbers of like percentage of. Oh, where's the numbers? Oh, apparently I don't have that number anymore. We were kind of down at the bottom of attendance, like at like 80% or something. So it was a bit of a concern last year already. And this year, even the home opener didn't sell out, which is really peak.
And you already have one of the smaller arenas, I think, in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. It's only 15,000 people.
But you were famous for the sellouts. So when did the sellouts stop at the pandemic, or did it stop before that?
It did stop during the pandemic. Obviously, that affected things for everybody.
Yeah.
It never really came back after that. And everybody has their opinion about why it is. Like, and I don't know if it's happening in other areas as well. Part of the biggest reason everybody throws out is that the Jets are not putting a good enough product on the ice. Like they just haven't won enough games, barely squeaking into the playoffs. And then last year after the season ended, our GM talked to the media and was basically saying like, our goal is to make the playoffs. So like, be happy that we did that. But people want more than that. They don't want to just make the playoffs. They want to go all the way. And then there's like issues like cost of tickets, cost of concessions. The economy and inflation has been bad, so people don't have money to spend on stuff like that. I don't know if COVID's still an issue. Like for me, it actually kind of is. Like I'm not enthused about going and sitting in a big building with a bunch of people breathing germs around me. I'm still not totally comfortable with that. I don't know if that's part of it. So there's lots of discussion about why. Who knows what the real reason is. It could be all of them.
Well, I think it's really very difficult because teams, like the fans may say they want to rebuild, but are they going to go see the games if there's a rebuild? Like,
Yeah.
or do they always
Good
want to
point.
have hope and a really good product there? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Attendance. So you were just saying the attendance in Philadelphia is good.
It usually is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's they're such a sports crazy like city that people are diehard fans are always
Yeah.
gonna go, even when we suck, which is
Yeah.
been a lot. I think you kind of see it towards the end of the season when we know we're not getting in the playoffs again. And like they're very much pushing that we're in a rebuild and it's like the new era of the Flyers. It's the Danny Bree era is what they keep saying.
Oh, that's cute. Very cute.
Yes. And it's really weird because I was like unsure, because I really liked when Keith Jones did the color commentary with another guy who's like just a straight reporter guy. And I was like, I think they played off of each other really well. So I'm like, now that Keith Jones is like the president of hockey operations with the Flyers, I'm just like, how's it going to go? But they hired Brian Boucher, which I think is interesting because he has a player's perspective too. And he has a goaltender perspective. So he's good, but he's not like the wild card that Jonesy was. So it's like just like a different dynamic. So I'm like kind of still getting used to that. But yeah, I mean, Flyers fans will go to the games. Like people will still go to the games, like especially right now, because it's like it's a new season. We want to see what they're gonna do. You know,
Yeah.
we've only had a couple of games and we've had some good games, had some bad games, but it's kind of like it's still early, so we kind of still have hope. Ask me in January where we start to dwindle.
Yeah. What about Vancouver, Mel? Is it an issue there at all?
well, we used to be famous the same way for a sellout streak, but it hasn't been for a while. And and in the Jim Benning era, when things were getting really bad, they were still doing pretty well. I think like selling a lot, and but it's not a full building anymore. That's for sure. And I think it's the same. It's what you were saying. People are like, I don't think just squeaking into the playoffs is enough of a goal. Although if you haven't been in the playoffs for a while, of course, being in the playoffs is great. But then at some point you think, well, I don't want to just be in the playoffs. I want to have a chance to go and win some rounds in the playoffs. So, yeah.
What's the feeling in Calgary, Fortune? Is it?
Well, we're getting a new building, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched games in Vancouver and I always thought that every building was like Calgary where you can't hear yourself think. But I remember going to like a sellout in Vancouver and it was like you could hear a pin drop and I was like, oh, maybe we're just the weirdos. But it's always like that. And like I know a lot of it is corporate sponsorship. But people just, I don't know, they just like to go out for a good time. I think it's the same in Philly. It's like it's something to do and not just like the only thing to do. And like we have diehard fans here too, because we haven't been good in like ever. It's like a big, you know what I mean? Like it's not like Toronto at all. I was just gonna say it was. But yeah. But we are, getting a new building, and it's so apparently this album is gonna like slated for demolition in 2 years. So like,
wow.
Yeah.
So Stacey, we were just talking about attendance because it's a big topic here in Winnipeg. I don't think there's issues in New York with attendance. No,
there absolutely is not. I mean, there's constant conversation about how ridiculously expensive the tickets are.
Yeah.
Like even when how hard they are to get, but also they're ridiculously expensive. They've been a lot better over the last couple of years in terms of creating spaces for people outside the stadium, outside MSG, that doesn't involve outside freezing football games, but like creating like I know this happened in Winnipeg too, the sort of outside, like the whiteout during the playoffs and like all of the sort of the outside sort of things and official bars. And I think that's something that's been missing in New York is the sort of, yes, you go to a game and have fun and enjoy it there, but like what else is there? Like, you know, there's years of fan culture, but like there's not as much outside of Madison Square Garden, because there are so many other, as you know, as Fortune was saying, there are other sports to watch. So I think this sort of focusing on creating space outside MSG is also really important. So, which is,
yeah, well, I guess we'll see how the season goes. And if the Jets, I think people are sensitive here to it because we lost the team once. And so when attendance starts going down, everybody starts freaking out and thinking, oh my God, we're going to lose them again. So maybe that's the sensitivity to it, but hopefully they can, I don't know, hopefully the owners of the Jets can pay attention to it and maybe change some things up, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But I also think it's really, really early in the season.
Like
it's ridiculously early. Like if things, if we are like halfway through the season and this is still happening, like maybe that's a question and a conversation. But I think now, like, it's like preseason, like, it's way too early to tell about anything really. So
yeah, wait and see. Okay, so let's talk just for a couple minutes about hockey books, any hockey romances that we read. We were going to talk about any that we read over the summer, and we didn't get around to that in our last broadcast. So I did read a few hockey romances over the summer. I did read Icebreaker, which was that super TikTok viral book that everybody was in love with. It was okay.
I disagree. Because I read it because you said it was okay.
Yeah.
And I thought, golly, geez.
Okay, so it wasn't okay for you.
I mean, I just was floored by how little knowledge of, like, the heroine's an ice skater and the hero's a hockey player. And
but he doesn't play hockey in the book because I forget why he's not playing.
No, he gets suspended over
Suspended for
that
something.
wasn't his fault. Her partner gets in a fight with him and he gets suspended even though it's her partner. Like, can I just say one thing? University teams do not have figure skating teams. Like, where this idea came from. And
well, I think they do in America, don't they?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no clue. I went to state school.
Really?
So we definitely
I went to university in Canada, so my understanding of like
so we're no help.
Okay, so you guys are our American.
I don't know.
Definitely I'm not.
Well, it totally doesn't make sense that they would. But anyway, I could look it up, but I just thought, I've never heard of this before. And then she didn't know anything about it. She didn't seem to know about a lot of things. But there was, I mean, the only thing I could figure that people liked about it was there was just a lot of sex, like a lot of sex.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I agree with that. And I agree that, I mean, it wasn't, when I say it was okay, I mean, there was a lot of, it seemed like there was a lot of nothing really happening story-wise.
It was not
and
have
no
like
hockey.
A movement of the plot. I mean, it was just a bunch of incidents put together, and I just kept thinking, why do people like this book so much? But then I did read one review, which I didn't disagree with, it said it did get better when they were alone in his place in Colorado, and they had kind of a sweet, intimate time together. That was the better part. But there was just a lot of stuff like, when somebody's really super evil and they're doing all these things and they get away with it. Like the hockey coach keeps saying, no, it's your fault. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you just investigate? And you'll find out it wasn't his fault. But I don't know. Anyway, I was
well,
nice
as with many books,
nice cover.
Yeah. I do wonder why these books go viral on TikTok sometimes, but
I don't think there's a rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't.
There really isn't.
And also, like, I feel like people think going viral means you're going to make sales, but I can post a video and I'll have 200 views and then I'll see 2 sales from that book. So I'm like, so just because a book didn't go viral, it doesn't matter. Like someone might have seen that and might have bought my book. Now I'm just correlating that because I'm not doing any ads for that book and I just posted a TikTok. So I'm making an assumption there. But there's also one thing I think about, it doesn't, like, the views you get, like you can have one go viral and not become a bestseller too. So it's like, it's another marketing tool is what I try to say. It shouldn't be the be all end all, but it does. I'm like, I have no interest in this book. Like, I don't, there's a lot like that, but I'm like, you know.
Yeah. Anybody else read Hockey Romance?
I think I read 3 actually. So I read Kelly's The Ozone, I think. Is that it? Not the Ozone.
The Ozone, yeah.
The first one in the New Bears. I don't remember. So I read that one. And then Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy have a series together. There's only 2 books. It's Stay and Good Boy.
Oh, those are good.
I read those and it made it seem like they were going to write more and they just never did. So I don't know if maybe this series didn't sell well or whatever. Like, it seemed like they were leading up to like a 3rd book and they never did anything else. I liked them. I thought those were good. I did them on audio. I thought they were decent audiobooks.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. I think that might be one of my favorites, Serena Bowen. I can't remember which one. I really liked one of them, but they were kind of similar. I mean, they were both good.
Yeah, they I mean, it was the same team, but those were set in Canada. So I thought that was, I feel like we don't see a lot of that. So I thought that, I think it was like a Toronto team. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, Elle is from Toronto.
Yeah, she is. So
yeah. Anyone else?
Well, I'm in the Hockey Romance book club where they give you 2 free hockey romances every month. So a friend and I that read hockey romances, we said, oh, we'll read all the books. But this month it was my book, so I didn't read that. But it's sort of interesting because I mean, some of the authors I know, but some of them I haven't read before. So it'll be a good opportunity to see ones. And I read a Kelly Jameson too, and I'm just trying to figure out which one it was. I can't remember. Anyway, so go ahead without me.
Okay. Fortune, Stacy, did you read any good hockey romances or bad ones that you don't mind talking about? No.
I don't read a lot when I'm writing, and I was like just insane. I did pack my Kobo with all of the hockey books, so from like the Bromance Bookworm. I'm just loving it because like there's just so many like authors that I like know and I talk to all the time, and I haven't read any of their books, and so I've started reading them on this on my Kobo, and they're popping up in my dreams now, which I think is kind of hilarious. So
Awesome.
But I just wanted to mention, because you guys were Mel was talking about like reality, like being real in hockey books, and you guys all know she won a fancy award. This month. And the same organization, like the same people, they'd posted a review of my book like way a long time ago, and I just saw it because I was creeping. And these are my favorite types of reviews, guys. So it says additionally, the portrayal of Clark's hockey career and the references to the Stanley Cup may raise questions about the author's understanding of the NHL, though they do not significantly impact the story. So there was like one throwaway line in like the first like 2 pages of the entire series where I don't mention the team or that like anything, but they're just like, that didn't happen. I'm like, you guys, this is not how fiction works.
Exactly.
And I purposely didn't mention the team, and I purposely didn't mention the championship on purpose. Nope, there's more Mels out there.
Oh, Mel, tell us about this award.
Yeah.
Do you have a trophy?
Right. I hate me. Won. So last time I was on, I asked people to vote. So if you did vote for me, thank you very much. It won Best Contemporary Canadian Romance. So
Nice.
yay,
Congratulations.
I know.
Yay, that's so awesome. Congratulations.
Yay!
Yeah, it's
And to
nice.
be fair, like my partner who plays hockey loved Mel's book because it was real, like everything was so all the hockey things were great. He loved those. Even like the way people cheered in the stands. I think he roasted me for one. He's like, nobody stands up and yells goal. I'm like, are you sure?
What?
Yeah. Everybody read Mel's book. It's fantastic.
I have read it and I did love it too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too, now that I'm like that.
You know, I just remembered why I read Kelly's book. It was because I needed like a palate cleanser after I read Icebreaker. I was like, oh my God, I just
Oh,
feel
God.
sick now. I have to read a good hockey book. So I keep like, you know, those break glass in case of emergencies. I keep and Kelly
Yeah.
Jameson's on hand because Kelly has it big.
I think that's why I haven't
Yes.
finished the Bears, because I'm
Yeah.
saving.
I
Going
know.
to binge,
you have to
yes.
save one.
Like,
Because
I'm
after you
saving
read a
them.
bad one, you're like, I need to read something good, like something that's guaranteed to be
Mhm.
good.
Oh,
So
thank
beat
you.
Kelly. Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
Kelly and Serena Bowen
I
for me.
don't-
Can
Like
do
if I
Yeah.
see a book on
Yeah.
TikTok, I like purposely like avoid it now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I bet you there's like there can't be any like I can't be the only one. So it's not going
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Okay, let's quickly move on to our wildest things in hockey this week. Who wants to go first? Okay, Danica, you go first.
Okay. So Sean Couturier had a penalty shot goal, and it was a very
Hence the
interesting.
Canucks.
Yeah. So the reason why I want to, like, he has not played in like close to 2 seasons. So it was like really great for him to like get that goal, because it was like, yeah, like Coots is back, like, yeah, like this is great. And like when they showed it, he like kind of did this weird spin move. And the announcer called it like a tush push, because he kind of like stuck his butt out when he did when he scored. So it was like an interesting goal. I actually had to like walk. I like walked. I didn't even see why he got the penalty shot, because I had like walked out to get like dinner, and then I was like, oh, there's like they're doing a penalty shot goal. Like, oh, that's cool. And like I saw him like make the goal, and it was just like, it's cool because you don't see penalty shots like often. So when you do
Yeah.
see a goal, it's like it's an extra special goal. So I thought that was cool.
People here question why he got the penalty shot.
I didn't even see it. And then like every time I was like trying to be like, why did he get that? Like to look up like so that I knew why he had gotten it. Everyone was just talking about the actual goal, not like why he got. I'm like, okay, but I want to know why that penalty was called. That was like a little annoying.
Okay, Mel, have you got something?
Yeah, my wildest thing was it was just interesting because, you know, last time we met, I think we were talking about all the predictions for the seasons, and I was, you know, reading up on things, but I think it's pretty interesting that, I mean, it's only 6 games so far, most teams 7 maybe, that things seem to be changing. So for instance, a lot of people predicted Boston was going to do terribly because Bergeron was gone, and they're top in the Atlantic, and teams that haven't been good, like Ottawa and Detroit, are doing really well. Philadelphia is at top of their
Mhm.
division, Danica,
Yeah.
which I don't think they would be predicted to be. And the other team that maybe people kind of downplayed would be Vegas. They, you know, when they're saying who's going to win the cup, a lot. In fact, even though Vegas was bringing back almost exactly the same team, people were saying, "Oh, I think it's gonna." They were naming different teams that they thought it might be, but Vegas is, I think, undefeated so far. I think they're 6. So I think New York's doing well too, eh, Stacey?
So it's an interesting little roller coaster. Like preseason was awful, but we have a new coach. So like there's always adjustment pains, there's always growing pains, there's always like a whole bunch of people going, wait a second, it took you how long to put these 2 people together and they're actually doing well? You know, you're actually letting a lineup work through its issues at the beginning in terms, instead of like, oh, moving the, you know, the should be 4th liner up to the 2nd line. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it's hard, but I think it's nice, especially I like seeing teams that have kind of been losing a lot, and the other team would be Arizona. I think might have a better season this year. So it's just nice for those teams and the fans of those teams to be able to see some wins. And I know it's early, and I guess as soon as people start to get injured, because I think Connor McDavid is injured now, like as soon as star players or key players start to get injured, things will change. But it's a bit different.
Stacey, have you got a wildest thing this month?
So yes. So picture this. It's 10 o'clock. I turn on the Rangers are on a West Coast road trip. I turn on the game. It started, and then all of a sudden it stops. And I'm thinking to myself before it really starts, like, it looks like it's someone posted on X that it was like, it looks like it's 2003 here, because it's a little dark, on the screen, it's a little dark. And the refs are coming towards the benches. They're explaining that apparently in Seattle's arena, they are having issues with the lights.
Yeah.
And Zoe York actually posted a photo on X of Lewicki like working on the lights in the background, because apparently that's how it goes. I'm dying. But everybody is like, the Toronto is like involved, like the refs are talking to the benches. Everybody is like, what are we going to do? Apparently there were even discussions of the game being postponed. And the sort of the consistent response was absolutely not, because what ended up happening was, number one, every 10 minutes they had to switch sides. And literally that's how they did that for the rest of the game. Like, you'd literally play 10 minutes of a period and then everybody would switch. Because apparently the way they saw that as a way of equalizing things so that each team would have a chance to play in the darker end. The comments from everyone coming out of this were hilarious. Steve Valleycat made actually some really interesting points about goalie training, where like apparently goalies start their training with playing with a white puck. So they learn instinct. And as a result, the darkness should not be that much of a problem, was in essence what he was saying. Of course, then you go to Artemi Panarin, who basically was like, I like it. Who knows? Well, because the thing was, Jonathan Quick was like, well, I guess they had energy efficient light bulbs, who was the goaltender that night for the Rangers. And then Panarin's like, I like it in the dark. So that's why I scored 2 goals. Like, literally the comments that were coming out of this were just absolutely hilarious. And I was like, this is just amazing. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, do we have to worry about the lights in Calgary? Are we hoping that like we end up having to play in the dark? Or is it just the fact that like our last game was the hangover game after the Halloween party? And that this one was the first game after that? Who knows? But anyway, so yes, I did not expect we had to turn off that. I did not expect the lights to go out in Seattle last night.
Weird. Fortune, what's your wildest thing? Sorry, you're drinking.
I don't have a wildest thing because it's making me sad. I do like the Beaverton. Do you want to hear? Do you guys know the Beaverton?
Yeah, I love the Beaverton.
Yeah, I don't think Danica. Oh, I don't. There's like it's like the Onion,
like the Onion, but it's Canadian.
Okay. Yeah. So this one is Sidney Crosby. Oh, you guys can't see it. And it says, I would never let my children play hockey. The risk of getting drafted by Edmonton is too high. Yeah, I know. And then you just never know if they're like real or not. But so that's like my contribution to my wildest thing.
Okay. Well, I thought it was kind of wild that Austin Matthews scored hat tricks in back-to-back opening games of the season, which apparently has never happened since Ovechkin did it in, I don't know when, years and years and years ago. And before that, it was like 100 years or something.
Wow.
But he's off to a sizzling hot start, apparently. But I also just wanted to throw in there because after I sort of thought I would mention that, Mark Scheifele from the Jets got a Gordie Howe hat trick where he
Which is
and it's Mark Scheifele, which you don't expect, like he doesn't fight. But so he got his goal, he got his assist, and he got his fight in the home opener game. So that was pretty exciting.
nice.
Who did he fight?
That's awesome.
Oh, Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh,
Well,
Well,
this is not surprising.
Yeah, it was a very brief
Matthew
fight,
Tkachuk
but
fought him.
still.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on to our best dress list?
Yes, please.
no, wait. You guys can't see that. Okay. I don't know why it's not going down. Hold on. I think I need to try to share this again. Okay. Nope. Okay. There we're going. Sorry, guys. Okay, so my picture's not very a good picture, but I liked it, so I kind of wanted to explain it. They're lit in red because the Phillies are in the playoffs, so it's like Red October. So as they're all coming in, they're putting them backlit against red. But Owen Tippett pulled out his like suit to show the inside, and it's like Flyers logos, and there's gritty. So I thought that was like a really cool thing that he did. So
Yeah.
I think it was for the home opener, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. I don't remember. I think actually for the home opener, they were all dressed in like Phillies gear. So I think this was the next game.
is
That's
that
really
his
cool.
number? 74?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was cool. It was like an interesting, nice like suit to show. I
Yeah.
don't feel like they show the
Very
Flyers
cool.
are not very like they don't do a lot of big stuff like that. So I thought it was cool.
Nice.
I think this is Kelly's, yeah.
That's mine. That is Adam Lowry, and I mean he is dressed very nicely. I do appreciate the hat, and I like the checked shirt with the dark tie. The main reason that I posted his picture though is because he is our new captain this year. So yay, we have a captain, and fans are really happy about that too. He's really
That's
popular.
awesome.
No, who's this?
That's mine. That's Anthony Beauvillier, who's I'm not quite sure about the shoes, but I like the suit. But the Canucks did a really cute thing on their social media. They had their the players rank each other's suits if it was like a fit or a flop. So they were pretty complimentary of each other. There was just one suit that Rockcusser had, this one suit that everyone hated, so that was the one they all piled on. But otherwise, they seemed to complement each other. So
Nice.
This is Denny Gilbert. He is brand new to the Flames. So one thing that has been going well for the Flames is their fits are on fire this season. And so I had to narrow it down. You guys know what? Michael Backlund wears the suit really well. And I had Zadarov, who's still killing it, but this is Denny, and he's dressed differently. He's working like the turtleneck. I like the blue on blue. So I also like his hair and his mustache. I don't know. He's got like a whole vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah. So let's see how he goes. I think he was like on the Flames stuff when he's in his hockey gear. It's not like this.
Stacey, I was not surprised by this photo.
Like there was a debate. I will say there was a debate. I was gonna go with someone else, but like when in doubt, you go with Keandre Miller is doing fantastically well this year already. This was not the opening game. But for some reason, the NHL decided that on their Instagram post, they would devote 3 photos to this, and with good reason, because He knows how to wear a suit. He knows just where to like step over the line and make it work for him. And it just works from head to toe. And he's just fantastic.
I love it.
He does
He
look
is-
good.
he's-
Look at the
he
sleeve
is-
length of his jacket. That is very
like
cool.
it's just, he knows how to push the envelope in terms of fashion,
Mm,
and he wears it well.
excellent.
So
He's a nice cut, and I love shoes. Sorry, you guys, I love.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I appreciate this.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So before we wrap up, do we have any new release information from anyone? Upcoming? No?
I had one come out. I thought I had a paperback, but I don't because I think I gave it away. But
Oh,
I had one that came out earlier this month, October something. Yours, Mine, and Ours. It was it's a short novella. I think it's like $2.99 on Kindle. Or you can buy the book. But it's one of my favorite stories. It's very not like most of my other ones. It's a polyamorous triad. And they're having a baby. So
Nice.
yeah, it's
Okay.
really
well, I have a book coming out next month. November 14th. I can share my screen and show you I think I showed it last time, but I'll show it once more. Share screen with, where is it? Oh, show all windows. I have too many windows open. There. So that's the cover of Mary Pucking Christmas, comes out November 14th. I am calling it a Hallmark Christmas story in reverse with a hockey hero and lots of spice.
What's a what? Spice? Oh yeah.
Spice.
I would never, I
I
would
love
never
it.
describe your books as Hallmark.
No, that's what I'm saying. Spice.
Hallmark with spice, I think makes sense.
Hallmark with
Yes.
spice.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's out November 14th. Okay, so I think we have to discuss as a group for sure, but we were looking at our next live stream as being November 19th, if that works
Yeah.
for most of us. So yeah, we'll update the YouTube banner with the
Yes.
final date, and you can all tune in then. And thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thanks.
Night.
Well,